So you're thinking about breeding boas for money. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you how we actually do it as well. Guys, Brian from MBK Reptiles here, and if you're looking to basically breed some boas for some extra money, or maybe to make it a business, I'm going to tell you how I do it and what I actually think about the process of doing so. Now, if you're doing it because you want to quit your job tomorrow and you want to start breeding boas and make a life out of it, don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it today. Start working, make a business plan, do something about it, because breeding boas is actually not necessarily difficult, but there's a lot to be going into it. Breeding boas is actually very hard as a business plan. If you just take, for example, just the industry, look around, how many breeders are there of just purely 100% boas? There's not many of them. There's a lot more that do it with ball pythons, compared to boas. But can you do it? You can certainly do it, but there's a lot that goes into it. And for us, we've been breeding boas for over, I say for us here at our facility for over 20 years, but Nuran has been breeding boas for over like probably 40 years. And one of the main reason why NPK was actually created is because we actually started our investment projects breeding albino boa constrictors. Now, the albino Colombian boa constrictors we purchased back in 1999 from Peter Cal. And back in those days, those boas were about $10,000. By the time that Nuran bred them for the first time, the boas were probably being sold for around $800 to $1,000 each. But we remember that back then, he even produced about like 45 babies his first year breeding them. That means like he took it was around a $25,000 investment, and with his first year of breeding them, he made about like $40,000 to $50,000 of babies. So it's great. It's a great way of doing it, but it is actually not very consistent. So boas are very fragile when you breed them. You can't overbreed boas. It's very hard to breed boas yearly. For example, there was this one time we wanted to invest and have so many more boas. So we basically invested our money into many females. I mean, we had like snows, aneries, albinos, and all the different combinations from probably around 10 years ago. And we raised them for 3, 4, 5 years, and then we started breeding them. There was this snow female. I mean, this was my greatest breeding, actually. So we purchased snow females for $800, they were about $2,000 when we bought them. We had a male and a female, so we invested $4,000 on this pair of snow. And 3.5 years later, I bred, and she gave me 35 babies that I ended up selling for $800 each. It was complete madness, and I thought I had figured it out, and I said, you know what, let's do it. Well, the next year, she gained back her weight. I bred her. It's like, she slugged out. And then I said, well, you know what? Let's try it again. So she gained back her weight. She was a great feeder, and she ended up passing away. So did I overbreed her? Did I overdo it? I certainly did. And the reason why I did so was that we had a dissection made from it, and she had accumulated huge fat around her. So all that weight that I thought she had gained back was not in muscle and energy, but into fat. And that created infertility, on and on. So it's very important to breed your boas not every year. Maybe some smaller boas, it's a little bit less on them, but for bigger animals, try to skip them. But that means if you have a business plan, you can only breed 50% of your females per year. So we're really diving down into numbers to be able to do so. Now, imagine if you're doing that and you're producing only normal motleys, and you're not just always producing these high-end animals. The two examples I gave you about those albinos and those snows, those are my only two that I could tell you that have been really profitable out of hundreds and hundreds of litters that we've produced. And those babies, you know, you can get from anywhere from 10 all the way to 40 babies that you have to take care of, that you have to feed, and on and on. But not only that, you also have to sell them. So you got to make sure that you have a full business plan of who you're buying the animals from, who can help you, and how can you offload your babies. You can't just all retail your babies. You need wholesale knowledge. You need people that may be other retailers or other breeders that maybe want to buy a few animals to resell them and then gain a lot of the top notch, like a dollar that you can get on your high-end retail value. Now you have to create a business plan around that. There's a lot of things that go on to breeding boas for money. Now, the most important thing, where we're at now, I don't want to discourage you because it is the most amazing thing. Maybe you can diversify. Maybe you can do a lot of other stuff or keep it as a side job, you know, like to it, or a passion or whatnot. But we're going to dig down in this video to how we actually breed them, because they are amazing animals and I can't imagine myself living without my boa constrictors. I don't count on them to make me some money, but on and off every few years, we get some amazing projects that give us some amazing revenue as well. But that's where we do. So what we do is we basically raise our animals. And I'm assuming that if you want to breed boas, you know how to raise your animals. So we're not going to do that video about how to raise your boas properly, because you already have achieved this as well. Now, if you haven't and you want to know that, well, I have a video that we've posted about raising and carrying boas, and we even include bringing the boas just at home as a hobby doing so. So we want to make sure that we upgrade our boas all the time. So you've raised your boas. We take about 3 to 5 years to raise our animals. So 3 to 4 for our males, 4 to 5 for our females. We want to make sure that we grow them slowly so that they don't accumulate fat, and we want to make sure that they produce some viable and fertile babies. So once they've reached maturity, what we want to do is we want to be able to start breeding the males. So we start adding the males in about fall and see which pairs are actually going to be breeding. Now we use an ultrasound machine, and the ultrasound machine is not to figure out if the female is ready, but we want to know which females are we going to skip and which females are we going to breed, because we're not going to breed every female every year. But also sometimes it does happen that we have to make a decision which ones we are, which ones we're not. If ever they gave birth last year, we're definitely not even going to look at them this year. We're just going to wait for the following year and then ultrasound them from there and then see how it goes. And then we'll do so. So we'll start inserting our male in, and then our male will be either interested or not. So it can create so we might have some interest where the male is going to just snuggle up to the female and have some copulations as well. Once they've bred, then soon enough, depending on how the female is ready, she'll have an ovulation. Now, when the female ovulates, they have massive ovulations. Now, the only thing is that with boas, you have to understand they have 2 oviducts. So they have basically a set of egg on one side and a set of eggs on the other side. It's like 2 tubes. And when they have ovulations, they usually have like a double ovulation. Now, again, is my information that I'm giving you accurate 100%? This is just from my own experience and from what I have noticed over the past few decades about that. Now, for me, at that point on, when I first see an ovulation, you tell yourself, you know what, she's ovulated, I'm taking the male out. Well, don't take out your male. Leave your male in to make sure that if ever he is interested, he's going to snuggle around her, and then maybe you're missing the copulations, but you got to make sure that they do that. Once they're really, really done, the male will separate, and then the female will go into her post-ovulation shed and then get ready. What I'm going to show you guys today, I haven't pulled any snakes out because it's really just pure like information and knowledge, but I'm going to show you a female that is actually going into shed. So she's actually our biggest female. So she's a Moxie Swiffer, and she was bred by a probable super Swiffer. Now, what are Swiffers? Well, in this videos, we're not talking about all these different morphs. These are actually probably a new projects that we're working on. So we can definitely see, you can actually see here, I don't know if you can see, these are actually sperm plugs from the male. So he would come up and then from his hemipenes, he would have extra sperm plugs. So we know that he's interested and he's probably copulating. So this is our biggest female. Now you can see the female is here and the male is in also. He's in a good mood. But you can see from the back here, the female, this is closer to her tail. She's really big. So they like bone out and then they go like really thick on them. And then she's just gonna build. Now, I did see a beautiful ovulation from her and she's actually going into shed. So it was about 2 weeks ago that she ovulated. Now, once they ovulate, they'll actually give birth probably about 120 days later after the ovulation. If you've missed the ovulation, well, she's going to go into shed. And from that shed, we count about 105 days before they give birth. Now, whoa, she's a heavy one. Now, once they actually are getting ready to give birth, usually probably about 30 days before they give birth, they have what we call like it's a plug. They'll basically secrete, like it looks like a little bit of a piss or shit, but it's actually like the like their pregnancy plug. I mean, even for humans, I have the term in English, in French, but I'm missing it in English, but I'm sure that you guys can figure it out and understand what I mean. But it'll be like a very mucusy, like shit that'll come out. And that's usually because like she's going to be very close, probably 2 weeks away of actually giving birth. Now, often with boas, when they give birth, it's very hard. When you breed animals with eggs, a lot of stress is eliminated once you have your eggs, but they do the incubation for us. Now, that being said, if they're doing the incubation, we got to make sure that the temperatures and everything stay as consistent as possible. So make sure that you don't overdo it, that you don't overfeed them, overchange temperatures, and make sure that everything stays as stable as possible to have the best success. Now, when you breed boas, I always say there's 3 different ways of getting their babies. So either your female is going to give you a perfect litter, which you're going to find some babies in there, and it's going to be amazing. And let's hope that this year, by the end of the summer, I'll be able to have some awesome footage for you guys about how to collect like a litter of boas once they've just given birth. I'm really positive this year that we're going to have some good success because we already have 2 females that are gravid and we have some other ones that are actually going at it. Now, we don't breed too many boas anymore. We probably have about 10 females or so. But I'm hoping that we can get maybe half of those this year. Now, you often also see like half good litter and half slugs. Now, this is exactly the information that I gave you about those ovulations. Sometimes it seems as if there's only half of the eggs get fertile and then the other oviduct does not get what it needs. And then you can also get the full litter of infertile eggs. And that sucks, honestly, but it happens way more often with boas. Now, people that work with boas, we are challenged by so many emotional things that can happen. We get so excited because those moments of birth is so amazing. But if it doesn't work out, then the depression hits automatically. It's very saddening. So I mean, you have to make sure that if you want to breed boas, that you are very strong emotionally to be able to do that. Either that you're able to eliminate a little bit of that emotion and really find that perfect way of creating into a business. Because if you have, for example, 40 females boas that you're growing and you're only breeding 20, and out of those 20, you're only getting maybe 10 that are actually going to be going through pregnancy and getting gravid. Now, out of those 10, you might get 3 perfect litters, 3 or 4 iffy litters, and maybe 3 or 4 slug litters. So it doesn't, for all that work of working with all those animals, it doesn't relate to too many babies. So that's why you got to make sure that the projects that you have, if you want to do it for money, you need to be on top of the breeding projects or on top of those breeding programs or those genetics that are amazing. Make beautiful and amazing animals that the value is there, because producing huge amounts of boas does not happen consistently. So it's not always about consistency with boas. It's more about having those awesome projects at the right time. Now, if I go back to the beginning of this video about those albinos that I told you that we bought them at their top value and we made our money at the top at the right time, or those snows that we paid a lot of money, but we ended up getting such a big litter that it was worth it. Even if we only got 1 litter out of that female, it was still worth it financially for doing so. But the fact that I lost that female a few years later, I haven't bought any more snows in my collection again. Why? Because emotionally, I was distraught, because it's an amazing moment that is basically that ended with a very sad moment that my female ended up passing away. So in the end, I hope that some of this information has helped you guys or helped someone to actually make a wise decision about breeding animals. Now, there are places that you are actually not allowed to breed because they have some cities have restriction on size. Now, from that point on, do your research, invest your money, save your money, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't risk it all. Keep it as a passion first, and the money will come if you put in it. What I also say is that the trick about breeding reptiles, it's about hard work. The more you work with them animals, the more time you spend with them, the more success you will get as well. So don't forget, don't lose the passion. Always be amazed by these awesome animals, because they really, really are. And if you're able to do it and make some money doing it, that is awesome. That is amazing feat. I mean, keep it up. Don't expect anything. Don't expect that you're going to be able to breed and count on that money year after year, because the years are going to be very, very inconsistent when it comes to breeding boas. I don't believe there is any miracle solution, miracle way, and the industry will tell you that. Just open your eyes, look at those breeders. It is very difficult, but don't give up. They are still amazing, and I can't wait to see what you guys have done. So guys, if you like this video and you think that there's some awesome information, make sure you subscribe to our channel and check out some other projects that we have and some other breeding that we do. We do it as a business, and we do make money doing what we do. But there's a lot more to NBK Reptiles than what you actually see in those videos. There's a lot more hard work that we put in towards that. But we'll get into these things as the videos throughout the years. We'll pull out some more videos, explain to you how we do it. And if you're able to do it, I will be more than happy to do it, because I hope I can mentor you guys up to the point that you can do it as well. And you know what? You sure can. So keep sharing your passion. I'll keep sharing mine. And until next time, no stress.